There. Tanner, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
All right, there I am. Cool. Good. Awesome. Well, what is up, Sumo Links? Thank you guys for joining us on this lovely Friday. I'm in Austin, Texas. We got an awesome webinar for you guys today. We are on with the Coassemble team. We have Tanner here, who you guys are looking at, beautiful mug. And if you don't already know, Coassemble is an all-in-one online training platform that helps you keep things simple, sleek, and streamlined so your team can train the easy way. So we're gonna dive in, get you guys a demo. Want to welcome Tanner on. We also have some other folks from the Coassemble team who are going to be helping out with the questions and comments. Little bit of housekeeping. If you guys do have questions about the deal, about the product, anything like that, feel free to drop those below the video where there's the question box. You can see we already got a couple questions in there, so we'll be going through those at the end. And we will also be sending out a replay. So if you have to jump out early or you come in, I guess no one here is coming in late. You guys all got in on time, but we will be sending out a replay later today. So if you miss anything, you'll be able to catch it there. But other than that, Tanner, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're really excited to be here and show off what we've got here to your Sumo Link community. We're pumped.
Awesome. So what is Coassemble? What's the elevator pitch?
Yeah, so Coassemble is essentially an LMS plus authoring tool where you can essentially build your online training. So it's simple, cost-effective, while still delivering an impactful experience to the end user. That's called a learner on Coassemble. So the idea is you can do it rapidly and effectively.
Awesome. And where did this come from? What was the idea behind it?
Yeah, Coassemble basically was started out of Australia about 3 years ago by a training company where they realized there was an opportunity to basically make training more efficiently. Some of the tools on the market were pretty clunky. They still are, some of them. So Coassemble, where we've tried to enter the market, is basically offer a really easy way for anyone to get training online.
Nice. And who are like the ideal users for this? Who is it built with in mind?
Yep. Yeah, great question. So obviously there are a lot of different types of people who are interested in building out training on a variety of topics. Coassemble is being used in a number of different ways, from corporate company training to the individual teacher trainer who wants to put their courses and sell them online. Where we found that Coassemble kind of fits the best market is usually for internal company training. However, we've seen Coassemble used in a number of ways for sort of the individual trainer.
What are some of those other ways? So I imagine is like the main use is for onboarding a new employee, and then I imagine some people are using it for if there's new initiatives rolling out and you need to retrain employees on certain topics. But then, yeah, what are some of the other ways people use it?
Yeah, bingo. So onboarding is a big one. That's a lot of times where businesses will start, is to sort of make sure that everyone is entering with the same base level knowledge at that company. But also ongoing training, right, is a big one. So making sure that employees are trained sort of annually, semi-annually, depending on the content. Anytime there's a policy update or change, those can go out in the form of a training where you can actually deliver that training and then perhaps put an assessment at the end to make sure that your employees or learners have absorbed that change or material.
Cool. Did people ever use this with like, say they're like an agency or something like that and they're onboarding clients, or is it mostly for like internal teammates?
Yep. So that would be one of the other ways that I mentioned. So sort of whether you're doing internal or external training, right? So like a consulting business, right, where they're doing coaching for other sort of businesses. That's a huge one, right, where you can deliver training to your clients or customers and basically get them sort of a packaged content of training so that you aren't doing it necessarily over and over again, sort of the manual methods that a lot of people struggle with when you scale up your business.
Yeah, as someone who used to do consulting, and I was just talking to someone recently who does that, and it's just like that onboarding can take so much time. Like if you're going to help them with, say, their WordPress site, you need to get their login, you need to get their passwords, you need to know like the contact information for their developers so you can sync up with them on certain things. And then you're like doing that whole back and forth through email versus if you can just automate it, put it in one place, get them onboarded, and then have everything you need to get started, makes the whole process a lot easier and more scalable for you.
Bingo. That's the idea, is to really, incorporate some of the tools of technology that you can to cut out sort of the tedious parts of delivering your training. Obviously, there are parts of training that can't be replaced, right? The face-to-face things that are going to be customized, but we feel at Coassemble, there are a lot of things that you can actually use the platform to cut out sort of the busy work. So that's where Coassemble enters.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I don't want to keep people from their demo. So if you wanna dive in there, get the screen share going. I'm sure everyone's eager and anxious to see what this actually looks like. See that dashboard. I'm gonna turn my camera off so we can get as much bandwidth dedicated to this as possible. But everyone in the
Perfect.
comments, let us know. Can you see the screen? You can see the Coassemble dashboard. Yep. Cool, man.
Beauty.
All right, take it away.
Awesome. Cool. So, yep, we'll do a quick demo of the Coassemble platform. Thanks everyone again for hopping in to check this out. So what we'll do is we'll spend about 15, maybe 20 minutes just running through the platform, showing you what it looks like, what its capabilities are. Now, if you've been on the promotion page on AppSumo for Coassemble, you'll see that there are actually two different coupons that we're offering. So the single coupon and then the stacked double coupon. And so what we'll do first is probably spend about 10 or so minutes covering the first coupon, everything that's included there. And then we'll spend maybe the 5 minutes or so towards the end of the demo, just going over what you actually get when you stack a second coupon on top. But just to go over that really quickly, basically, there are 4 main things that you'll get. So number 1, increase monthly active users. I'll touch on what that means here in just a minute. So an increase in user totals. And then down here at the bottom, advanced branding. So the ability to actually add artwork and customize, say, fonts and colors on your dashboard. Drag and drop templates. So the ability to build unique lessons online by dragging and dropping different templates into the learning pathway. And I'll show you what that looks like. And then finally, interactive challenge templates. So actually being able to challenge your learners to complete an action during the learning process. So not just a quiz, right? Which is sort of, the standard. It's very familiar, a typical assessment where, say like multiple choice or true false for a grade. An interactive challenge template is actually sort of challenging your learners during the learning process with a formative question. So not for a grade, but actually asking them to prove their knowledge at that point in time. So we'll go over this actually in the platform, and I'll show you what each of these mean. Oh, I'm getting comments here that my screen is gray. Let me just try a quick refresh here.
Yeah, I can see it. It looks good on my end. Yeah, looks like most people can see it.
Right.
Yeah, just a heads up to anybody. This typically we see these work best on Chrome. So if you have Chrome as an option, log in through there, bounce out, and you can come back in. But yeah, otherwise it looks like most people are good to go.
Beauty. Cool. All right, so we'll run through this, but I'm pumped. So real quick, we get this question a lot. What is a monthly active user? Just because that's the way that on Coassemble we track sort of your bandwidth in terms of usage. A monthly active user, for those who are unaware, is essentially how many users have logged onto your platform in any monthly period, so 30 days. So if a user is logged on that month, essentially they count as an active user. Once the next month hits, your count is reset, and that essentially is 0. So you have 100 new users that can log on. So those may be any combination of users from last month and new users. But the idea there is users who don't log on in that new month will not count against your either 100 or 500 monthly active user total. So if you do have any questions on that, feel free to ask away in the chat bubble, but hopefully I cleared that up just because we do get questions on that in terms of how we track usage. So let's pop over back into the Coassemble dashboard, and we'll just run through what it looks like. Now, one sort of central idea here is that I really want to focus on how sort of clean this is, how uncluttered we've designed the platform, because that's a big one for us. I think where a lot of training platforms have traditionally fallen down is just the fact that they try to, load you up with features that, perhaps you don't really need right out of the gates. And where we've really seen an opportunity in the learning side is to put the tools in front of you that you actually need. So you can see here from the admin side, it's pretty darn simple. On the left-hand side, we've really distilled sort of the training process from a creator standpoint to 3 main areas. Those are represented by the buttons on the top left. So create, This is where you're going to live in terms of building your training. The second button down, that's where you're going to manage your users, right? So anyone who has usage permissions, whether they're a learner absorbing the content, or on the back end, right? We'd call that a trainer or an admin. You can actually set permissions as to who can do what, if perhaps you're not the only one managing this on the back end. A user, whether they're an administrator or a learner, counts as a user. So you could actually have plenty of administrators on the back end. That's a big question that we get, is how many admins can I have actually managing this? And you can have as many as you want. Just keep in mind, obviously, you have the total user count, whether it's 100 or 500 per month. And then the final area down here is just reports. I'll go over a quick overview of what reports look like. But that's the third and final area that we'll cover today. So again, keeping it pretty darn simple. Down below, I'll just show you really quickly. There are some additional areas, where you can manage your resource library, right? So you can actually see what different pieces of content you have on the platform. You can also share with a quick URL. So if you ever wanted to send out a piece of content with URL, SCORM, or LTI, you can do that, right? So if you wanted to just drop a URL right where your learners are living, and just have them, boom, get access to the platform without even needing to log in, you can go ahead and drop them a URL. Now, the final setting down here is just customized settings, so where you can actually add your logo and company colors, right, to the platform. So actually give it your organization or company look and feel. So go ahead and replace that Coassemble logo at the top. We don't mind. You can even change the URL. That would be yourworkspace.coassemble.com as sort of the format there. So before I show you sort of how we create a course, let me just show you what the learner dashboard looks like, because that's a really important area, right? Is actually knowing that this is going to look really good to your end user, right? The learner. And this is an example of what that might look like, right? So no longer do they have the admin privileges that we saw on the left-hand side with that admin panel on the left. You can see we have the ability to add a course, or really however many courses we want, into their view. Now you can sort of hand select exactly what you want your learners to see. So it's really simple to basically blast out a course to all learners if you want everyone to see it, or if you want a subset of members of your organization or clientele to see a course. So you can serve up this content very customly, if that's a word. You can also see the courses are organized into different folders. So to do, meaning they haven't started that course yet. In progress, meaning they started but not completed, so they can always log off and come back and pick up right where they left off. Completed, right, makes sense. And then all courses, if they wanted to see all of the courses that are on their dashboard. They can search for courses. They can also sort these courses however they want. At the top, you've got a space for notifications, and then my user profile if I wanted to change my name, email address, even add a picture if I wanted to do that. To open up a course, I'll just show you really quickly what a course might look like. Now, again, I'm going over features that are included on both of our two plan offerings. So just to be clear, we'll go over some of the additional features on the back half of this demo. But you can see here we've got basically an overview screen, so sort of what goes into this course. Now, a course is essentially a container. So you could put as much content into a course as you want. You could also put as little as you want. A very popular type of online learning is called micro-learning, where you can sort of drip feed content to your learners. So send out courses that are, say, only 5 or 10 minutes long, right? So you might just have a very short course that you might send out for a micro-learning lesson. On the left-hand side, I can open up a menu. This is essentially like a table of content. So we can see now what different modules we have added into our course here. So modules are what go into a course. So I'm going to go ahead and start this course and pop right into the first module and show you some of the different types of modules that you can add. Now, the first one here is just a very simple document module. So you can upload any PDF or Word document. If you have those resources already sitting on your hard drive at home, you can just simply upload those. Those are going to be really, really simple to bring in. You can also bring in spreadsheets, PowerPoints, anything from Google Slides, Google Sheets. You can simply embed those in. And that's going to be a really quick process to basically take your existing content online in a very quick manner. You can see here, once I'm done reading through this document, I can pop over to the next module. This nav bar on the bottom will stay neat and tidy at the bottom there, but it's always just one button away from advancing. Similarly to the document, if you've got videos that are already made or in the process of being made, and you simply want to go ahead and add those to the platform, you can do that. You could simply bring in the hyperlink from wherever that video sits online, right? So YouTube, Vimeo are really popular. You can essentially just bring in the hyperlink, and that video similarly will be embedded into the learning environment. So the idea here is we're keeping your learners centralized in a very clean environment, not routing them all over the place with links to different parts of the internet. I think it's pretty straightforward. The next module here, we'll keep it moving, is just a quiz, right? So if you ever wanted to build an assessment on the back end of your course, you can do that. This is a very simple quiz, right? So there's just one question, and we can go ahead and answer that. But there's multiple choice, true, false. Here's a fun one to actually do a drag and drop. So this is put the steps in the right order to get credit for that question. And then we can go ahead and complete that quiz. So I think it's pretty straightforward in terms of what you can do. I think the beauty of this is how simple it is and how easy it is to actually get up and running and create a pretty good looking course in a short amount of time. So I'm going to hop back to the admin panel and just show you some of the features that we've got here. So again, the first space is create. We'll go over how you can build out a course. So we'll hit create, and you can add a title. Now, instead of actually building out a course from scratch, because that would take just a little bit of time, let's just go over that onboarding course that we just ran through. So I'll click edit to open that up, and you'll be able to see the structure. So once this opens up, you'll see we have a series of new tabs, overview, modules, and enrollments, where we can basically work left to right to build out this course. That overview screen is the first screen that we were presented with, essentially setting the table for that course. So you can edit that, add a picture. On the modules tab, this is where you're going to add the meat of the course. So you can add, again, that document, the video, and then the quiz. We can drag this around if we ever needed to reorganize the order of our modules. So it's fairly robust in terms of being able to actually go in and make edits on the fly. We can add new modules, right? So a quiz, document, video. Lesson, I will note, is not on the first coupon plan offering. So that's going to be on the second one. So I'll come back and explain what a lesson is on the back end. External link you can route learners to. And then if you ever wanted to repurpose a module from another course, you can go ahead and duplicate or simply just add in an existing module, which is essentially a mirror from another resource, right? If I actually wanted to, say, upload a new document, right, just to show you how simple that is, I can just drag and drop that file in, give that a title, and we're ready to go. So it's really, really easy to start building. Once we've built out our course, it's time to enroll users. And that's a fairly simple process as well. Again, the idea here is to keep it really, really easy to actually put this technology in the hands of your end level learners or users. At the end of the day, a lot of businesses are able to actually get something out the door in 7 to 30 days. So between a week and a month is kind of our goal for all users to get something out the door. Although we do see learners periodically who have their content ready to go, they're able to get out the door in under 24 hours. It's not unheard of. On this user screen, this is where you can see we basically categorize our users into one of two categories, learners or trainers. So you can see we've got learners and trainers here. We can go ahead and create a new learner just by simply adding their email address, right? And we can add actually multiple learners at a time, which is a really neat feature if we wanted to bring in a number of learners at the same time. We can, though, then, in addition to creating their profile, also enroll them at the same time. So we can actually enroll them in multiple courses if we wanted, and then just go ahead and create and enroll that user. We get one final screen just to confirm, and we go ahead and hit OK. So it's really, really easy to do that. We can see similarly what courses our learners have been enrolled in, right? So we can add courses. We can manually deactivate them if we ever needed to. But again, you don't need to because it's done automatically with the monthly active user configuration. Trainers, similarly, you would add them in on this side to give them administrative privileges, right? So you can have as many trainers as you want, just keeping under the monthly active user total. The final area that we'll go over is just reports. And again, Similar idea here. We want to keep it as simple as possible. So we have some pretty straightforward reports that are baked in to Coassemble, so you can actually access pretty granularly exactly where your learners are spending their time. So if I wanted to open up, say, a report, you can see there here, we've got a number of different reports, from the usage report, sort of metering overall sort of bandwidth usage, to, if you wanted to group up your learners into, and the progress into, say, courses, right? So you wanted to bundle it up by course and see sort of how those different courses are performing. You can do that, right? So we can actually look at each of our different courses here. We've only got the one, right? And I think we've actually duplicated it. But if I open up onboarding, I can actually see all of the learners that are in that course fairly granularly, exactly when they started, when they completed that, and if they haven't, what their progress is along the way. I can also see how much time they've spent in that course, which is pretty cool. Now, this isn't where it stops. This is where traditionally a lot of LMSs will kind of, end the reporting, is just kind of letting you know who's done it and who hasn't. But actually, if we click on a learner, for example, I'll click on my colleague Dimity here, we can see exactly where Dimity spent her time in this course. So you can see actually the reporting is pretty granular, just because you have the ability to build, say, quizzes directly into the platform and not bring those in from an outside source. We see an opportunity here to actually give you some pretty specific information as to what questions are being answered correctly or incorrectly, and how much time they're spending on each question as well. Really valuable information for a course builder. You can also just, if you are curious, you can flip the report and look at it by learner first, and see what courses each learner is enrolled in. So you can flip the data either way, but you do have pretty granular reports built right in. So this is a quick overview of what is available on that first coupon offering. Now, just a reminder, if you do choose to buy 2 coupon codes, you can stack them and actually add the second code right on top of the first one and get access to, again, more monthly active users, but then also advanced branding features, and then also some additional course building features. So I'll run through that really quickly just so you see what you're actually getting when you stack that second code. And this will be pretty quick because we went over most of it in the first, on the first coupon. So the first thing you'll get, obviously, is more active users. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But you also get the ability for advanced branding options. And I'll show you what that looks like here, because it's pretty cool. When this opens up, you'll see that we have a number of different tabs that we have access to. Now, on that first coupon code, you get access to these first 2. So essentially the ability to name and change your URL, and then also add your organization or company's logo, and also change maybe the color of that banner that sits just behind, right? Make sure that logo is popping with your company branding colors. But also on the second code, you get access to all of these other further customization features. So if you wanted to add artwork, right, to the top of the dashboard, you can do that. You can add a color or, a background image, something that's going to better reflect your organization. You can also add a mantra, right? You can also customize the colors of the workspace on both the workspace colors and the lesson. So kind of the background colors of those templates. If I wanted to, I have access to the CSS window here, where I can do things like change fonts, hide certain elements if you wanted to. So you have a lot of customization access here. We do like to add the caveat, only use this if you really know what you're doing here. So only if you know how to use CSS and do some of these customization features here. Cool, so that's customized. So now let's go over those final features. What I think most users to date have been really excited about is essentially the ability to build lessons with drag and drop features and challenge templates. And this will be the final area that we go over today. So if I go back into that onboarding course, I'll add a quick lesson just so you can see exactly what we mean when we say you can add drag and drop templates. I'll go over to my modules and I'll just add an existing module that we've already built. I'll add a lesson. Now, again, lessons are not on that first coupon code. So if you're looking for that, and you've only bought 1 coupon code, you'll need to add a second code on top and stack it to get access to lessons. But we'll go ahead and add in this lesson here. And you can see we've just added introduction to soft skills. Now, let me just go ahead and preview this really quickly so you can see what a lesson looks like. But essentially, this is taking an existing PowerPoint, maybe some material that you have, and putting that into templates where you can actually build interactive training online. So we've got quite a few different interactive templates where this is where you're actually sort of taking your learning to the next level, where all of a sudden learners are able to interact with the content itself. You'll see a great increase in engagement with the content. You'll see an improvement on learning outcomes, from assessments to actually improvements in the workspace. But you can see there's a number of different ways to actually structure this, from pretty straightforward text with image sort of screens to more engaging ones that you can actually click on. And then, of course, if you wanted to build sort of a knowledge check right in, you can do that as well. And pop-ups like that. So again, a bit more engaging than, it's just simply perhaps like a video and then maybe a quiz at the end. To show you kind of how we would build something like this out, I can just click edit on this lesson. And you can see actually the structure where you can build out some screens on the left-hand side. So this is what we've already built. You can see we do have a nesting option here with these sort of dark blue or navy bars. I can never tell what the color is. But these are called topics, right? So you can actually organize into these different topics. And then you can also see these templates on the right-hand side. So this is where you can actually drag in different templates, right, from the right-hand side and start to add these right into the lesson pathway and start building off of those really quickly. You can see we do have a number of different templates organized depending on what they do, from presentation templates that have a bit more interactivity there, actually asking learners to click on different elements. The wheel will spin around. Hotspot is where they can hover over different parts of an image. Interactive challenge templates, these are really, really popular, where you can add different actions that you want learners to complete, from, ranging from drag and drop to spot the mistake. So lots and lots of options here. A lot of new users like to go right in and just start playing to start to figure out what they all can do. But once you've actually got a template in, building off of one is essentially filling out a form because it's all templated out. We've done the hard work for you. You don't have to do any coding or HTML or website building to build out these screens. You simply just add your text, maybe a picture or video, to the template, and Coassemble will format it for you. So you do get some customization options, but largely the work is done for you. So that's what you get when you do add in lessons using that second stacked code, which it sounds like has been really popular to date. So I definitely wanted to go over that. So that is the basics. Those are the basics of Coassemble. I will flip it back to you, Chris.
All right.
And open it up for questions at this.
Cool. So one of the questions that I'm seeing from Kim wants a little more insight into how like a drip course would work if you don't want to give all the material at once and you want it to kind of drip out over a course of days or so.
Yeah, definitely. So that's really popular, right? Is where you can actually sort of send out content on a drip feed. Now, essentially what you'll want to do is enroll the learners in all of the courses, right, that they would have access to. What you can do with the naming convention, obviously, is sort of structure those, right? So you can put, 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C, and make sure that those are organized appropriately on the dashboard. When it comes time for enrollments, you can sort of structure these with an affiliated, say, deadline, right? So if you want them completed a certain number of days from enrollment, you can do that, right? So if you wanted it from the time that they're enrolled, essentially the time that you added them to the course, you can do that. You can give them 7 days. If you also wanted to structure it, say, with the amount of time that they, from the moment that they actually began that course, you can do that as well, right? So say 3 days from the time that they started. You can also, if you wanted to, you can actually lock the module order, right? So if you don't want them to progress out of order within a course, you can do that. But that's definitely the best way to say, structure sort of the order of courses if you wanted to deploy them all at the same time. Also, again, because you have, very, pretty tight controls over what your learners are seeing at any point in time, you can manually actually go in and say, roll out a course at the point in time that they need it. So you don't have to send everything out at once. You can actually enroll them when it comes time for them to actually go ahead and do that next bit of drip fed content. So you kind of have options to do it both ways.
All right. Let's see. Can you set up trainers to only have access to certain courses or reports as opposed to giving them access to the kind of entire dashboard of courses?
Yeah, so that's a good question. On this core plan, it's going to be pretty sort of basic in terms of what the trainers have access to. I'll just show you a quick trainer so you can see kind of what that looks like. There are two different types of trainers, but to be clear, they will have access to everything on the back end. So we'll just do test at Gmail again. I don't know who owns this one. But we'll go ahead and hit next here. And you can see we have options either for manager or admin permissions, right? So the manager is essentially going to be able to create, edit, share courses, essentially manage the learners. Admins, on the other hand, have access to everything that the manager can do. And on top of that, can invite and manage trainers as well. So they kind of have the top level access. So if, say, you only wanted someone to really be able to only manage the learners themselves, pull reports, work on the content itself, you're going to want them to be a manager. If, on the other hand, you want them to have top level permissions, sort of the workspace or super admin permissions, they're going to be an admin.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Next question. Can audio tracks be added, and can you do narrated slides?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great aspect of the lesson module that we saw before. Every screen that you can build out actually has what's called an instructor's tip built in. So if you wanted to add either a text, sort of like a tooltip, or an audio that sits on top of that screen, you can do that. And kind of the best of both worlds. So if you have, say, audio that you've already sort of compiled at home or at your business place, and you've just got that ready to upload those audio files, you can do that. If you also wanted to record fresh audio directly into the platform, you can do that as well. We've got a tool built right in where you can record your audio.
Cool. All right. A clarification question. Is a new user is a new person on a platform, not each time somebody logs in, is what Will is asking.
Great question. Yes, I'm glad someone asked for clarification on that. That's correct. If you have the same user who logs in multiple times in 1 month, they will only count as one user in the monthly active user count. That's a great question for clarification. And
awesome. All right.
Yep.
Priscilla asks, is there a question comment forum option where learners can leave messages?
Let me double check that. That's a
nice,
great question.
Priscilla. Nailed it. Yeah.
Can you ask that question again, Chris?
Is there a place within the courses where somebody who's taking the course can ask questions or leave comments and things like that? And then presumably the instructor can come back and respond to those if they're stuck on a certain topic.
Yep. Yeah. Great question. So not in our core plan offering, which is what we've opened up to the Sumo Link community. We do have that. We do have some features. If you make our way over to the Coassemble page, we do have other plan offerings. So if you wanted, say, like a basic chat feature built in, we do have that on some of our other plans, but not on the core offering. So to be clear, for what's covered in the coupon codes, it's a no.
Cool.
Unfortunately.
Let's see what else.
Yep.
Can users download the audio, or is there a download option within the courses?
So for audio, no, there wouldn't be any like a quick download feature. Now for specific resources like a document, for example, you can make those available for download. But for any audio, no, that wouldn't be available for download by default. Unless, say, for example, you added it as like a live link to a file, right? So if you use, say, this WYSIWYG text editor, right? What you see is what you get text editor. You could actually upload a file, right, and make that available for download. So yes, you can, but not by default. We don't want our learners able to download, say, the whole training.
Okay. For UK users, is this GDPR compliant?
Yep. Another great question. So we do not have a GDPR certificate to answer that question. We do follow the guidelines where applicable. So we are compliant without the certificate. And just a quick question, because we get this, or a quick answer because we get this all the time, is why not? And the reason is because we're not actually targeting UK as our primary sort of market. We do end up getting a lot of UK business that is really interested in Coassemble, understandably. But we are, we follow the guidelines of GDPR without having gone through the steps to get the certificate.
All right. Caroline asks, can you rotate the questions on a quiz so it's not the same quiz every time somebody takes it or retakes it?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. The answer is no in terms of sort of like randomizing the question order. Now, what you can do if you wanted a bit of randomness, right, so that the quiz doesn't look the same every time, is do what's called an answer pool, right? So create a pool of answers. Obviously, there's probably only going to be one right answer to that question, so that will always be presented. But if you wanted to randomize the other options that are presented, you could say present 7 wrong answers, of which 3 will be presented, and those will be at random on each attempt. So there are options to randomize, just not randomizing the question order.
Let's see. Sean says, for feature upgrades like comments, would that be a one-time fee, or are we required to upgrade for the whole plan? Maybe there's not an easy answer for that at this point, but
yeah, that's a good question. So at this point, no, there wouldn't be any sort of like a stacking option to add, say, like a chat built in. We're open to that. We've gotten a lot of questions about that, but at this point, probably the best answer is just that we do offer that as part of our more typical plans off of our page.
In terms of the email notifications, what types of customizations, if any, are available there in terms of when those emails are sent, the content of those emails, etc.?
Yep. Yeah, that's another really good question. So notifications are sent out via email, both to learners and trainers or admins. The ones that are sent out are fairly sort of stock standard, right? So, a nice message saying something to the effect of, you've been enrolled in this course, go ahead and click here to get started. And what we've noticed is most users are actually just interested in the link, not so much what's actually in that email. Now, if you are interested in, more customization, there is a way to do that. It's via Zapier. So you do need to be, competent and confident in how Zapier is run, but you can actually use Zapier integrations, which I think most AppSumo Sumolings are pretty familiar with, where you can actually use something like a MailChimp, right, to actually customize your sort of email that's sent out and basically drop that link into a customized email. But again, that is going to require Zapier via sort of an off-the-shelf integration
Cool.
we provide you with.
Let's see if there are any other questions that would make sense for this. Do you want to go over any of the roadmap things or things that you guys have coming up that you're working on?
Yeah, definitely. So I think one big thing is that we're just really excited about, the Sumolink community in terms of, we realize that's a fairly large community and a really great opportunity for us to learn so much about, a really pretty educated audience on, web tools. So we're really excited about that. Some things that we're excited about more down the line are probably more going to be offered on our pro plans, as that is kind of our typical plan offering. So things like, course resets, being able to, put a learner back into a course after a certain amount of time, say annual compliance training, right, where you don't have to enroll them again. Things like that. So just adding sort of more like a mapping feature down the road. But the core plan that we've got is pretty robust, as you can tell from what we went over today. There's a lot of features on that. And for most businesses that really want a pretty straightforward tool to get something out the door, this is what hits the mark for them. They don't need a whole lot more. One thing that I will just point out here, as I think we're close to wrapping up, is just that we do have a built-in chat tool where you can reach out to us, access help articles. This is, an intercom chat bubble where you can reach out to us. And this is also, if you do decide to stack 2 codes to get the additional features that I talked about there, you can actually just drop us a message, and this is where you'll be able to send over your second code, and we'll be able to upgrade your account for you. So you'll get instructions for that. But for anyone who is, already knows right now on this webinar, I'm super stoked. I want to go for that second code. You can go ahead and send that to us in-app once you get started. By sending us that second code. So that'll be
awesome.
Right,
yeah, I know we had a handful of questions about that. So it's good to get that addressed. So anybody, I know a lot of people are sacking. If you want to get that second code, as Tanner just said, just throw it right there once you log in. So Yeah, that is all the time we have for this, but really appreciate you guys hopping on and sharing this with everybody. I'm sure folks in the comments can throw some thank yous. Very appreciative. It's a super cool tool. So if y'all were on the fence about it before this webinar, hope this pushed you in the direction. Again, all of this is backed by AppSumo's 60-day money-back guarantee. So definitely encourage you to check it out, play around with it, see how you can get it to work with your business. And we're always here for you guys. So Tanner and everyone else from the Coassemble team, thank you guys for joining us. In any last words from you guys before we sign off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, to those who have been giving us feedback and ratings on the platform, we couldn't be more appreciative. This has been our first AppSumo campaign, so it's been a really good learning experience for us, and we just appreciate all of the feedback that we've gotten from anyone who is jumping into an LMS tool. We've gotten some really positive feedback, and we're really pumped to be working with the SumoLink community. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for bringing this offer to them. I'm sure they love it. So thanks so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.